Hello and welcome into Live from the Plains. My name is Daniel Locke. This guy is Logan Fowler. It is about, well, not even 24 hours after Auburn's dramatic four overtime win over the Texas A&M Aggies, and we're going to talk a lot about that here right now, aren't we, Logan?
That we will. That definitely gave us a lot of action to talk about. So
And yesterday was just probably one of the more eventful days um, that I think you and I have had. Um, you know, got car trouble just kind of loves to bother both of us, apparently. Neither one of us have had great luck with our cars this semester.
yeah,
Um, so deal with that before the game and after the game. But yeah, just it's
well,
just
shout out to Daniel here for I'm uh I'm on the way to the game yesterday, and Daniel's already in the press box, ready to go, and I'm stuck on the side of the road with a flat. So shout out to Daniel for leaving the press box, going all the way back to the lot, and then coming and scooping me up. That was pretty clutch there, Daniel. So
no problem at all. Happy to do it. And that's the thing. Like I was just sitting there anyway, so definitely didn't mind that at all. Glad we got you there because if you had somehow had to miss that, that would have sucked.
yeah, it's a good thing, I guess that's why you leave a couple hours early. So
Yeah. Yeah, always good to leave yourself some emergency time. But I could just tell from, and even though I know we both picked Auburn on Thursday when we recorded the preview, or excuse me, we both picked Texas A&M. But from the moment we walked on the field pregame on Saturday night, it just felt different. Um, it
it
just
was,
felt like this was the night that it would come together for Auburn.
yeah, I mean, um, just kind of seeing the vibes around campus, um, leading up to the game. Like you said, once we got down on the field pregame, you know, there was a there was a pretty good crowd in Jordan Hare. Um, you know, probably 30, 20 minutes left of the game. I mean, it was rocking. Like you said, yeah, you can almost just kind of tell when there's a little bit of a different feeling in Jordan Hare. And I agree. I felt that last night. It's weird. I don't know if it really is just the nighttime under the lights and Jordan Hare. Um, but I mean, it was different when that crowd gets going how they were last night. Now, I'm not going to say that's the loudest I've ever heard Jordan Hare Stadium. It's not, but that was the loudest I've heard it probably in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, no, the Iron Bowl last year, but definitely the loudest I've heard it this season. So, um, yeah, I mean, I mean, it was fun to, experience it and see it. It was definitely a good win for the Auburn program.
Oh yeah. Definitely a very pivotal one. Probably, definitely. Well, obviously, the biggest one of Freeze's tenure so far. The first ranked win Auburn's had since I believe the Ole Miss game in 2021.
Hmm.
Um, so one that Peyton Thorne was talking about, he believes will be a momentum shifter for the program. Obviously, he won't be around to see it. He can see it from a distance. Um, but yeah, that was huge, and there were multiple times where I kind of felt like the other shoe was about to drop.
Man, I mean, you can't watch an Auburn football game this year and not have that thought. Um, you know, you get up 21-0, and your first thought is, okay, so what's about to happen for Auburn to give up a 21-point lead? It's not, wow, man, Auburn could blow this out of the gates or out of the water. No, it's what are they going to do here to gift wrap this game to Texas A&M? And
And I thought Peyton Thorne had just about done it.
yep, and Peyton Thorne had a really good first half, and then up until he like hit the water cooler out of bounds over there. I mean, he wasn't having a good second half. Auburn, before their first drive, before their last drive, in the fourth quarter, me and you were actually in the media room. So that last scoring drive in regulation time, Auburn had -9 yards of total offense in the fourth quarter. Um, it was, I mean, when when we made the walk down from the press box to the field, it was 28-24, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, we get down to the field and it's 31-28, and I see, 2 minutes left on the clock, and I'm just thinking, like, what? And so we get a sequence of plays there, and it just did not look good for Auburn on offense. And
Mm-mm.
this was the drive right before the last drive. So I'm sitting there thinking, wow, like, you go from two receivers. I mean, you get two receivers, 100 yards. Jarquez Hunter's over 100 yards, and yet here you are in the fourth quarter, and this is how you're going to lose it. It's just, I don't know. But I mean, hats off to the Auburn team for not giving up there in the end. Obviously, that was a pretty good drive there. That long run from Peyton Thorne. Was it a third down or was it a fourth down?
I think it was third.
Okay, that was a
I
that
could
was
be
a
wrong though.
that was a big pickup for Peyton, and it almost kind of felt like the momentum shifted right there on that run. Um, so yeah, hats off to Ian Vachon too for sending that game into overtime. I mean, nobody even knew who this kid was 2 weeks ago. So
Right.
this is, I mean, hats off to him. Hugh Freeze had a lot of good things to say about him post game. So obviously, we'll kind of unpack this a little bit more as we go. But
Yeah,
that was a good win there.
that was. And one they needed badly. But one thing that just stuck out to me is obviously there were some errors, but the defense was lights out. And I know that, I mean, 41's that's a lot of points, but I feel like it doesn't feel like they gave up 41 points.
Yeah. So the thing with the defense yesterday was okay. You you get up 21 points and you hold them to a missed field goal and you turn them over all on the while they're on the plus side of the field. So I mean, your defense starts off hot, your offense starts off hot. But third down defense was yet again atrocious. Um, if there's one thing that you can critique from this Auburn defense this season, it's getting off the field on third and fourth down. I think. I'm sorry. I think
Mm,
that A&M was like 6 of 8 or 6 of 9 in the first half on third down. I mean, Auburn's they just couldn't, and they were like not just third and shorts. I mean, these were third and 12, third and longs. I mean, they were they just couldn't get off the field. And then they're in the kind of the third quarter ish. Marcel Reed and Amari Daniels kind of both ran rampant. Honestly, I think they combined for like 150 plus yards out of the 167 total yards that they had.
something
So,
like that.
I mean, those two, it seemed like they were just kind of picking up like 4 or 5 yards at a time. I mean, boom, 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 and then you kind of look at it. When you look at it like that, Texas A&M had the ball for 36 minutes and 30 seconds of this game compared to Auburn's 23 minutes and 25 seconds. So the defense was out on the field a lot, but I mean, like you said, they they showed up when it mattered. I mean, there were numerous times that I can think of when Ole Miss had the ball in the red zone when scoring opportunity, even when they started, um, they're in scoring position with a fresh set of downs, and the defense came up huge, um, and kept them off the board quite a few times. So, um, yeah, they made the plays when it mattered. Obviously, the play at the end, the fourth quarter, I mean, fourth overtime was a drop, but I mean, they were on the field and they got it done when it mattered most.
They sure did. And just it was really good to see that from Auburn. On behalf of, all the fans who show up week in and week out and just really love this team. It was nice to see the team finally give the fans that kind of same treatment back.
Yeah. Also, let's go ahead and shout out Jaron Thompson. 11 tackles, led the team last night. He was balling.
And a pick.
Jalen McLeod was balling. I mean, they had some guys flying around. Dorian Mausi with 9 tackles. Asante and Caleb Harris with 7 each.
Hey, Jaron also had a pick.
Sure did. So, I mean, they had some guys flying around out there. They just got to figure out a way to get off the field on those critical downs next week. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But I mean, like I said, the only critique that you really can have from the Auburn defense is that. So I mean, all around pretty good performance. Yeah, they gave up 464 yards, almost 300 through the air. And it kind of seemed like when Marcel Reed, and I could go pull up, I guess all the chunk plays and the stats and stuff, but especially early on in the game when Marcel Reed was completing these passes, they were going for 10, 15 yards, like just back to back to back. So yeah, it kind of seemed like those pass plays were pretty much big pass plays through the air, and then obviously they had one chunk play of like 63, 65 yards there on the second drive of the third quarter. So, also you kind of look at the way that the Oklahoma offense came out of that second half or came out of halftime. They came out of halftime on let's see here. Sorry, should have had this pulled up already, probably. A 10-play, 76-yard drive that ate up 5 minutes and 30 seconds. They come back with a 1-play, 73-yard touchdown. But yeah, they had a drive go for almost 9 minutes, almost five, and then over 5. So yeah, they were eating up the clock.
Yeah, and I remember pointing that out to you, like during the third quarter, saying like, man, it feels like they've had the ball for 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, and there were a couple times there when it was like, okay, like Auburn, your offense, you need to stay on the field. Like you've got to put together a pretty lengthy drive here, keep your defense off the field, and it didn't seem to go that way sometimes.
No. But like we said, they finally finished a close game.
Right.
And that was nice to see. And now, I remember texting my buddy Will, who covers Alabama for Alabama Crimson Tide on Sports Illustrated, during the game, saying like, "Man, like this is going to be the most boring Iron Bowl ever." When it looked like, obviously, I think this was after it was clear that Alabama was going to lose to Oklahoma, and when it was not looking good in Jordan Hare last night for Auburn. And at that point, like this is going to be an Iron Bowl with no college football playoff implications. No, not even SEC championship game implications. In one game's not even fighting for bowl eligibility. So neither side really has anything to play for. But, you know, Auburn's bowl hopes have lived to see Tuscaloosa, which I feel like really adds some extra motivation. Plus, just the way that Auburn's confidence in itself has got to be at a high right now. And Alabama coming off a loss where it's obviously not a great loss, not one that either you or I had picked, not one that anyone had picked, really.
Hmm.
And not even, it's not like they lost by a field goal, like they got obliterated.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even score a touchdown. Like that's the first game since 2011 where Alabama hasn't scored a touchdown. And I don't know if there's been a game in our lifetime when Alabama's been held under 6 points. Like they had 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
And then now Auburn's got one where this offense clicked against a very good defense. Um, this offense has got to be feeling itself right now. The defense knows what it is. It has all season. And you're going to Tuscaloosa. This front seven for Auburn has been really solid down the stretch. Alabama's offensive line looks abysmal. Jalen Milroe has no protection. He's got to escape the pocket almost immediately. So I'm not picking an upset as of now. I probably still won't pick Auburn, but I remember a couple weeks ago thinking that I would give Auburn about a 20% chance of winning this game, like heading into it, even if they like beat Texas A&M. But considering Alabama's result against Oklahoma, Alabama like there's not going to be much of a home environment at all, because it's just saying things how they are. Alabama's home environments that stadium's a tough place to play because of the team you're playing, not because of the fans. And I don't really. That's a fact. Um, but I think there's about a 35 to 40% chance as of now that Auburn gets the job done on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the results this weekend definitely moved the needle a little bit. But it's just so hard to, you kind of talk about this game has no implications really, coming along with it. But yeah, obviously, like you say, Auburn still got a chance at a bowl game. They could, save what would be their fourth straight losing season. Obviously Hugh Freeze and the staff, they want to ride out on a big wave heading into the 2025 season, and obviously with signing day coming up, and they could also hand Alabama their first 4-loss season since what?
Probably 2007.
07, yeah. So, I mean, there's still a couple of things that to get up for this game. The tricky question for me, and I guess we're kind of getting already into a little preview of Alabama, but is just what Alabama team are you going to get on Saturday? I mean, it seems like they go on a 3-game winning streak. They're outscoring their opponents like by a large margin. Offense looks great. Jalen Milroe looks great. And then you get what you get on the field Saturday, and it's like, well, what? Like what? What is it? What is this team? So, Alabama has looked very vulnerable in Bryant-Denny this season. South Carolina, who's not a bad football team at all,
No.
had them on the ropes there at the end. Obviously, Georgia in the second half. So, I mean, it's going to be a good game. And there's not a single game, when you look back on Auburn's schedule, tell me a game where Auburn just got absolutely beat up and down the field. You can call Georgia a butt whooping if you want to because of the final score. But heading into that fourth quarter, that was a tight ball game, and
Yeah.
it just kind of got away in the end. But Auburn, they proved to themselves, okay, we can win a game, we can close out a game, we know how to do it. We got to see the win. That's the one thing. How do you get over losing? How do you get over a losing culture? I mean, you win, and
Yep.
they saw themselves do it yesterday. That game meant a lot to seniors, a lot to the fans, a lot to the coaches, a lot to the recruits. It was a monumental win, honestly. I mean, it was a big time win last night for Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and it's almost silly to say that because the team is still 5-6. But that was huge for the program at this time, and it's obviously it's definitely setting up for an interesting Iron Bowl Saturday.
Yeah. I like Peyton Thorne said, I think that this is going to be one that we're looking at in a few years and think like, okay, this is the moment when it really started to turn around.
Yeah. I don't even know how we've gotten 22 minutes into this podcast and we haven't mentioned the name Keandre Lambert Smith once, nor have we mentioned Cam Coleman, nor have we mentioned Jarquez Hunter. So, I mean, just absolutely, just a great all-around performance from those three guys. Jarquez with another 100-yard plus game. Let's see, where was he at total? 130 on 28 carries. So 3 touchdowns. And then you had Cam Coleman go for 128 on 7 catches. He kind of ignited the, kind of sparked the scoring efforts for Auburn there early. After making the pretty good grab there on the opening drive to set up a Jarquez Hunter touchdown run, it was Cam Coleman who scored the next 2. So, he surpassed his career high in which he set last week against ULM, just like 16 minutes into the game. So he was definitely feeling himself. And then, I mean, big play Dre. I mean, that is perfect. Big play Dre. What a guy. I mean, 2 catches and 104 yards. 2 catches, 104 yards.
It's a lot of yards.
2 catches. Wow. I mean, it just seems that when the ball is thrown his way, he catches it and something big is going to happen. Obviously, that's why they call him Big Play Dre. But, I mean, there are some things that he does on a football field, and it catches a lot of people, it catches a lot of people's attention because Auburn hasn't had that since, I mean, Seth Williams, I guess, but it's been a while. So, and then obviously he put the damper on Texas A&M's hopes there at the end with the catch in the overtime. So, I mean, those 3 guys that I just mentioned, they had a stellar night.
They did. And obviously Cam Coleman's a freshman, but the other 2, their last games in Jordan-Hare.
Yeah. Keandre Lambert Smith, he had a pretty good quote, and I'd have to go find it. I put it in one of my stories I wrote, but he just talked about, kind of setting the standard for the future. He's going to be a huge tool for Hugh Freeze in recruiting.
Yeah.
Hey, look what I just did with Keandre Lambert Smith in 1 year. Look what I've done with Metcalf. Look what I've done with, all the list of these guys that he's got. Look what I've done with Cam Coleman. He's a freshman. So, Keandre Lambert Smith, it sucks for him that the wins didn't come with, the production that he's put on the field this year. But I mean, what a better way to go out for him. That what? No, okay, I'm sorry. Let me reword that. There's no better way for him to go out than what he did last night. I mean, swag surfing atop of the crowd on the field. Uh, there's some pretty epic pictures from that, by the way. Y'all, y'all go look at those. Those are sick. Jarquez Hunter, not a better way to send him out. And then, our good buddy Caleb, he captured a video of the recruits. I'm sure you've seen it. I'm pretty sure like 100,000 people have seen it. But he captured a video of the recruits jumping the wall and storming the field. And you kind of just see like the one that I noticed was Jeremiah Smith take off. I mean, those recruits, man, Deuce Knight coming out, talking about storming the field. Obviously, you see guys like Jeremiah Smith, who, has been thought it's been a little bit of shakeup between Auburn and South Carolina to hold on to his commitment. You had a packed house yesterday, full of high level recruits, and for them to see that and the support that the fan base showed on a night where your football team is 4-6 and has nothing to fight for, really, that was big. And overall, just an enjoyable night in Jordan Hare. Me and you down on the field there at the end. That was the first field storm rushing, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever been. I won't say I was a part of it because I wasn't really a part of it, but I was trying to capture.
We were running for our lives.
Yeah, so it was fun. It was fun.
That video is so funny. That the video you were taking, you were saying, "Go, go, go, we gotta go."
All I saw was like Grace look at me, and she was like, "Go," and then then you were like, "Go, go," and then I'm just sitting there like trying. It was fun.
I didn't want to die.
Yeah, it was fun. But then about 30 yards into the storm rushing field storming, me and you both were like, "Oh, wait a minute.
We got work to do.
Let's go to this is not going to be good if we get stuck out here." So, but it was enjoyable. It was a fun night. And it was definitely a great way to send out the old senior students, such as me and you.
Yeah, and just so many of our great friends. That's what I love this for the most. Is, like I said on my Instagram caption today, just the people who've made Auburn feel like home for me. Some of them I've known my whole life, but I'll be friends with all of you for the rest of my life. So that's who I'm the most excited for.
Yeah, it was definitely a memorable night, and we'll see what Auburn can do here next weekend. See if
We
they
will.
thing.
Kind of switching gears here. Bruce Pearl and the Auburn men's basketball team have a chance to make this one of the most memorable 72-hour periods in Auburn history.
Yeah. Obviously, if you're not aware, Auburn is taking on, I guess this will come out on a Monday morning, so they will be taking on number 5, Iowa State at 8 p.m. Central Time.
Yep.
On ESPNU.
Man, a top 5 matchup in ESPNU is the best we can do.
Yeah.
Like, I get there's Monday Night Football, but come on, ESPN. You can't give us ESPN2?
It's
I guess that's where the Manning cast has got to go.
That is true.
No,
the Manning cast called the Auburn and the Iowa State game, but
dude, that'd be sick.
That would be. Hey, I like listening to them.
I do too.
They're one of the only ways that I can sit down in front of the TV and watch a Monday Night Football game. But yeah, no. So I mean, this is going to be obviously a huge matchup to start off the Maui Invitational. You talk about you talk about this is going to be a slugfest. I mean, this is going to be, yeah, Auburn and Houston, they played, that was a tough physical game. Houston's a very physical team, very, very good defensively. Um, but Bruce Pearl thinks that this Iowa State backcourt is probably the best in the country defensively. Uh, he says, just the way that they guard different than Houston. They still guard hard, but they just guard different. Um, and it's going to be interesting to see. Auburn hasn't quite been. I mean, I guess if you take away the Houston game, they saw Jakari Lane from UNA. He's probably, despite what level you watch, he's probably one of the better guards that Auburn's going to see this year. And I don't have the Iowa State roster pulled up right now. I'm lacking, but yeah, this is going to be a slugfest, and it's going to be interesting to see what Denver Jones, what JB Pegues, Todd Pettiford, see if those guys can keep the scoring efforts rolling against such a talented Iowa State Cyclone defense.
Yeah, and one thing that Auburn will obviously be favored in this game. They're a 3.5-point favorite, which the fact that Bruce Pearl's gotten this Auburn team to the point where they're playing a top 5 team and they're a 3.5-point favorite on a neutral floor.
Yeah,
that's crazy to think about. But I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, it really helps that Auburn's already seen a Elite Eight caliber team this year.
mm-hmm.
And Iowa State really hasn't played anyone. They're 3-0, and those wins are against MVSU. I don't even know what that is. Oh, wait, Mississippi Valley State. 83-44 win, an 82-56 win over Kansas City, and a 87-52 win over IUIN. I'm not going to look at what that is. Actually, I've piqued my own interest. The Indiana University of Indianapolis Jaguars. Okay. Yeah, that's a tough team. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if IUIU or IUIN was in the Final Four. I really wouldn't. Like that. That's tough. I'm just kidding. But yeah, versus Auburn's played a Vermont team that could very well find its way into the tournament, a Houston team that'll, like I said, could be an Elite Eight team, maybe even Final Four team. Kent State, who could mess around and make the tournament, and North Alabama, who, after the way they played against Samford and the way they played against Auburn, I'm convinced has got to be one of the better teams in their league. So that could be a tournament team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean Auburn's definitely, I would say, more battle tested right now. And that's so funny to think about because just look at what's ahead for Auburn.
Yeah.
Iowa State. I mean, I think somebody put a tweet out the other day that was like Auburn plays number 6 through number 12 all within these next few weeks and months going into SEC play. It's just like, wow. That's a tough task for any team to take on. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, you would think that since Auburn's kind of got a game under their belt, kind of like this, you'd think that it'd pay off. I'm interested to see. I still haven't really done a whole lot of studying up on Iowa State, not as much as I should have probably. I'll spend a good portion of my evening tomorrow doing that before tip off. But I'm interested to see. This team is kind of going how Janai Broom goes, and nobody has had an answer for him yet. I'm interested to see if Iowa State has something in the works for Janai.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested in that too. So if Auburn can get the job done tomorrow, they'll take on the winner of North Carolina Dayton. Probably going to be North Carolina, which would be a 10 p.m. tip off on Tuesday night. Which for people like for the young folks, that's fine. But for people like Logan and I who go to bed early, like that's just not good.
Mm-mm.
And then on Wednesday night, if they keep winning, they'll play at 4 p.m. That's not so bad.
Well, let's look at this real quick. Bench production. Auburn's bench has scored over half of the Tigers' points in the first 2 games of the season and scored at least 31 in the first 3 games. 5 of Auburn's double-figure scoring performances have come from players coming off the bench, including Chaney Johnson, who scored in double figures in the first 3 games. Chaney Johnson, what a season he's having already. That guy, man, he plays hard. Chaney Johnson is, they always talk about him being the hardest worker. He's always in the gym. And you definitely are seeing it pay off this year. He is bigger. He is faster and stronger. His shot looks better. He plays to the whistle on every single play. There's a lot of plays that Chaney Johnson makes that don't show up in the stat sheet, but, they're hustle plays that, Auburn hadn't necessarily had a super close game other than Houston. But if those plays aren't made, you might not, win a game here late in February heading into March. So, he's been very important. His emergence has been huge for Auburn too.
I agree. And he's been fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. It's this is a deep Auburn squad, man. It's a deep squad, a lot of scoring, a lot of defense going on out there too. I haven't looked at the KenPom rankings in a couple days, but Auburn was what, number 2 in the KenPom defensive efficiency. Last time I looked, they were still number 1 overall. So yeah, obviously you got to take care of business tomorrow night against Iowa State. But we'll see. We'll see how that one plays out. Should be a fun matchup to watch. I'm interested to find out kind of what that Cyclone front court looks like tomorrow as I do a little bit more research on them.
Yeah, I am too. And kind of like you said, that's a matchup I'm watching very closely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the other teams in the Maui Invitational include Memphis, UConn, Colorado, Michigan State, and Dayton and North Carolina. So, Logan, who do you think is going to win the Maui Invitational?
I think that whoever wins this first game here, Iowa State and Auburn, will see UConn in the championship. And then
at 4 p.m. on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Which is kind of inconvenient.
Very
but it could be worse.
Very inconvenient.
It could be 10 p.m. again.
That is very true.
Which is really inconvenient for us because, like I said, you and I, we aren't as young as we used to be.
Yeah, that'll be another late night. But yeah, it's going to be, I think, Auburn, UConn, Iowa State, obviously North Carolina are all the top teams in this one. So it's a loaded tournament.
Yeah.
There's these preseason tournaments that Bruce Pearl, puts his teams through. They're typically pretty. It's not just you don't just breeze through them.
Mm-mm. Not at all. So I think that's gonna about do us here tonight. I think I've said everything I have to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here's a little bit of Iowa State recap, just a little bit here. Taman Lipsey, 13.7 points per game. It was a preseason All Big 12 first team selection. He's got a list of honors by his name. So Taman Lipsey's definitely a name to keep a guy to keep an eye on. Keyshawn Gilbert, second overall in scoring on the team, another preseason All Big 12, second team pick. And then Iowa State, talked about them being a good defensive team. They're top 13 nationally in turnovers forced. In Otzelberger's first 3 seasons with as the head coach. So I'm pretty sure I said that right. Anywho, they get after it on defense, and they're currently number 2 in points per game and allowing points per game behind Seton Hall. So it's good. It's gonna be fun. They're gonna it's gonna be a defensive slugfest, and yeah, it's about all I got there. We'll see how that one goes.
Yep, definitely looking forward to taking that one in. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Daniel J. Locke. It is right down there. You can find my written work for Auburn Tigers on si.com. Had some cool stuff come out today. More stuff tomorrow because the grind never stops around here.
There you go. You can check out my written work with 1819 News and the Auburn Plainsman. You can give me a follow on Twitter or X at Logan F. Fowler.
There you go. We're not going to record on Thursday this week for obvious reasons. I think the tentative plan is to record at some point today on Wednesday. It'll probably revolve around when Auburn plays in Maui. If they have that early game, might just record right after, so we can recap that. I don't know. We haven't talked about it yet. But yeah, this has been Live from the Plains. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon.